This is probably a euphemism for his wife, because later on he's going to connect those dots in verse 8. He refused and said to his master's wife, "Behold, because of me, my master has no concern about anything in the house. He's put everything that he has in my charge, except you." Though Joseph finds himself in Egypt instead of Eden, he's working in the wilderness. And God is growing it into a garden. He has dominion over everything in Potiphar's house. Potiphar has given him dominion over everything. He's given him charge over everything, except the food that he ate. This is what it's supposed to make us think of Genesis 2:15-16. It goes like this. The Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and to keep it. That sounds similar, right? And the Lord commanded the man, saying, "You may surely eat of every tree of the garden, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, for in the day you eat of it, you will die." Now Joseph was a handsome man, in form and appearance. This is the third time someone has been described this way in Genesis. Sarah was described this way, Rachel, and now Joseph. Same words, except they translated a handsome instead of beautiful because he's a dude. There's often added temptation and opposition for those who experience great success, even more so when that success is coupled with good looks or power or wealth. Potiphar noticed Joseph, and so did his wife. And it made it complicated for Joseph, to put it mildly. After a time, his master's wife cast her eyes on Joseph and said, "Lie with me." But he refused and said to his master's wife, "Behold, because of me, my master has no concern about anything in the house. He's put everything that he has in my charge. He is not greater in his house. He is not greater in his house than I am. Nor has he kept back anything from me except you, because you are his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?" And as she spoke to Joseph day after day. He would not listen to her, to lie beside her, to be with her. Now we see this connection. Joseph understands Potiphar's wife to be like the forbidden fruit in the garden that he ought not eat. Remember Genesis 3? The serpent slithered up to the woman and said, "Did God really say you can't eat of the tree in the garden? Of any tree in the garden?" And the woman said to the serpent, "We can eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden. God says you can't eat of the fruit of the tree in the midst of the garden. For on the day of it you will surely die." As in the garden, Adam was tempted to listen to the voice of the woman to eat which was forbidden. Now in Egypt, Joseph, the heir of the promise, is tempted to listen to the voice of the woman and take what was forbidden. There's a direct parallel that's going back and forth between this initial temptation of Adam to now the temptation of Adam's great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandson. And where Grandpa Adam listened to the voice of his wife, who had been deceived in sin and was banished from the presence of God, and with him death entered the world, Joseph refused to listen to her, and though he was banished from Potiphar's house, God went with him. Wait a minute. He was banished from Potiphar's house? That's not how this story is supposed to go. Right? The story is supposed to go, he resisted and he wasn't banished. Now we come to the top of the mountain, temptation. But one day when he went into the house to do his work, none of the men of the house were there in the house. And she caught him by the garment. You can see this playing out, right? Saying, "Lie with me." But he left his garment in her hand and fled and got out of the house. And as soon as she saw that he had left with his garment in her hand and had fled out of the house, she conceived a plan and called the men of her household and said to them, "See, he has brought among us a Hebrew to laugh at us." Who's the he? Her husband. "He came in to lie with me, and I cried out with a loud voice. And as soon as he heard, I lifted up my voice and cried out, and he left his garment beside me, and he fled out of the house. And then she laid up his garment by her until his master came home. And then she told him the same story, saying, 'The Hebrew servant whom you have brought among us was cast from the house and thrown into prison.'" Look at the accusation that Potiphar's wife brings against Joseph as she lies about Joseph, and she slanders her husband. He brought him here to laugh at us. Now in Genesis 26, Moses uses the same word here to talk about the intimacy that Isaac shared with his wife. Remember when he was doing the sister fib lie with Abimelech, and Abimelech saw it, looked through the window and saw him laughing with her? The King James says sporting. It's the same word here. Joseph isn't being accused of being a stand-up comedian. He is being accused of being planted in the house by Potiphar to take advantage of her for spite. Though that may have been true of Joseph's brother and his family that we just read about in Genesis 38, Judah and Tamar and all the rest, Moses is showing that Joseph is a man who lives his life trusting in the God who makes promises and keeps them even at great personal cost. So let's think about this for just a second. How many ways does Joseph have to justify this sin? A lot. Think about your own life. How easy is it to justify sin and your temptation? You're being tempted, you have a good desire, and you're thirsty. And you want a drink that's going to satisfy your thirst. And you're like, "I would like a drink of salt water, please." No, that's bad. But Sprite tastes good. Right? And enough of that. Joseph is in his early 20s. His hormones are at their peak. He's far from home. He's been relentlessly propositioned by a powerful woman. Not only that, she has taken hold of him. She knows it will cost him. Not only that, she's actually torn off the clothes from him, and now she has blackmail evidence against him. Everything about this says Joseph could say, "I'm a victim of the whole thing." And he would have been on some level. Still he ran. Let us consider a few things about temptation while we're here. First of all, temptation is appealing. You're never tempted to do something that's like with the saltwater illustration. It's terrible because no one wants to drink salt water. No one's like, "You know what I'd love? Drink the ocean." No one likes that. I don't even like opening my eyes under the water in the ocean, right? No, temptation is a good desire that we want to satisfy in a wrong place, and it's always appealing. Second, temptation is proximate. What that means is that it's close by. It means that temptation that you need to deal with is the temptation that's close to you, not the temptation that's close to somebody else. A lot of us spend a whole lot of time fighting temptations of other people, or at least addressing the temptations of other people. Come on, how many times have I'll say we because I'm part of this problem, right? It is very easy to address temptations of which I am not the culprit, right? To address the sins of others rather than to deal with the ones that are in my own heart. I think it makes us feel self-righteous. I think it makes us feel better. At least a little bit better than other people. Right? Temptation. The temptation you must address is the temptation that is nearest you. Temptation is a disordered desire. That's important. It means not just that it's appealing, but that it's destructive. So one way that we've talked about goodness, remember how we talked about how God is the creator of all things? He's of a different category. He's not just the biggest bully on the block. He's the creator of reality itself. And so when he made the world, he made it to reflect his glory. And when we live inside reality, it flourishes, right? The garden grows. And when you sin, it's actually destructive to creation. It's against the good, the true, and the beautiful, as the philosophers have said, right? That which is good, that which is true, that